Hello friends, and welcome to the 15th day of Advent. We're heading back to Poitiers today to visit two exceptional cathedrals connected to Aliénor of Aquitaine. The child in me is fascinated with this small, insignificant thing. Since Aliénor was born 900 years ago, what were the things she would have known then that I can still find today? The vase at the Louvre was one thing, the conciergerie in Paris as well, and in her city of splendor, her beloved Poitiers, besides the palace of the Dukes of Aquitaine, there are two churches who heard her footsteps 9 centuries ago. Notre-Dame-la-Grande is a Roman Catholic church mentioned in Poitiers since the 10th century and officially rebuilt in the form we see today in 1086. The west front, adorned with statuary, is recognized as a masterpiece of Romanesque religious art. With a silhouette typical of the local Poitevin Romanesque style, the facade is much higher than the building itself. It is structured with superimposed arches and framed by 2 turrets, with an abundance of sculpture representing frequent motifs of Romanesque art. Foliage, bestiary, modillions sculpted with grimacing heads, and fantastic figures. Above the portal, a frieze contains biblical scenes, from Adam and Eve to the old prophets, and even a nativity scene, if you can spot it. I visited the church on 2 occasions, and every time I found myself in front of it, the emotions were surprising. I have admired Gothic churches and the resplendent Byzantine monasteries of my home country, yet in front of this rare Romanesque edifice, the beauty was somehow overwhelming. The interior has suffered more alterations than the facade, with polychrome painting dating from a 19th century restoration, with new motifs inspired by what was considered to be a Byzantine influence on Romanesque art as an effect of the Crusades. Although highly critiqued at the time, historians agree that seeing the church with a polychrome painting today, even if the motifs are not original, is much closer to the reality of the medieval period than having bare walls of grey stone. This church would have been up and standing, much in the same shape as we see it today, during all of Aliénor's life. If this was a legacy of her ancestors, Aliénor wanted to leave her own mark on the city as well. And so, around the year 1162, the foundations of the current cathedral were laid, under the patronage of King Henry II and of his queen. Welcome to the largest medieval monument in the city of Poitiers, the St. Peter Cathedral. This is the best known example of a hall church of the Angevin Gothic style. The facade, which is broad relative to its height, has 2 unfinished side towers begun in the 13th century. Most of the windows of the choir and the transepts preserve their stained glass of the 12th and 13th centuries. The end window, the crucifixion, contains the figures of Henry II and Eleanor, one of 3 visual representations of Aliénor made during her lifetime, together with her official seal and her tomb effigy. The history of such an old cathedral tells stories of restorations, modifications, and overlapping styles. However, this is a rare example of original architecture style of the 12th century, and the precious conservatory for invaluable stained glass windows of the High Middle Ages. A piece of our history. Until tomorrow, happy Advent.